finally in 2014, they came and got me, the US Marshals. Look, I'm Mike Rashid, Big Mike Rashid, everybody knows me, right? He came to get me, they came to get me, there's a lot of them. And the US Marshals, they serve the biggest warrants, the killers, the big fugitives, so they come hard, right? But they came to me like gentlemen, The guy came, he says, look, man, you do a lot of good for a lot of people. Just get this behind you and move on, And I was like, I appreciate it. But in my head, I'm like, I'm about to sit still, because when you go on a run, it's a aggravated circumstance to your situation. So there's an enhancement. It's called a FOJ enhancement, fugitive of justice. So remember, my bond initially was $158,000. This time is $500,000. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, they're not playing with me, However, I don't do fear, I sat here in LA until they extradited me. They had me in the max security. You get 30 minutes of freedom of shower and phone every 2 days. They extradited me to Arizona. They had me in the max security there. That's a little bit different how they set it up. But, those experiences was really good for me too, because you get to like really, I swear I'm gonna iron you. It was good for me because, man, you seeing all of, look, bro, at the time I was very wealthy, So it was good for me to sit around the lowest of society, the people who no one knows exists, mm-hmm. right? The people I was in there with, their wives change their phone numbers when they get arrested. Mm-hmm. Their family is relieved, you know what I mean? And rightfully so, a lot of them was terrible people, yeah. right? So most people in jail belong in jail. Yes. I belonged there when I was in there.
Well, when did you go in?
That was in 2014 when the Marshals came and got me. And look, I would have bonded out immediately, but you can't bond out in a different state. So you got to sit there until they take you back. And look, when they took me back, I felt like, oh, this is what slavery was like, right? Because you shackled like this, right? You're on this bus ride, this van. It's like you're sitting with your back against the wall, no windows, and the wall is bent in like this. So they do everything to make you uncomfortable, right? It's fat people, it's all kind of people. And I'm thinking about, if this thing tip, you're gonna crush me. Like, how can I slip them, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And they're stopping to pick up prisoners at prisons. And one stop, they let us get out and use the restroom, but it was so humiliating. Yeah. People like looking at us, you know what I'm saying?
What was going through your mind?
Just like, hey, you got yourself here, idiot, But I wasn't too down on myself. It did not feel good, put it like that, right? It felt very inhumane, and it is. Like, jail is not for human beings, right? They treat animals way better than people in jail. Everybody, this is another thing that's crazy. Everyone where I was at was on psych medication. I'm like, am I missing something? Like, what is this line for? Every day, everybody in there is on some kind of psych med, because most people in there have chemical imbalances due to addictions to some kind of street drug. So that was sad to see. And bro, I'm gonna tell you like this. It's just it's so many aspects to life that I'm fortunate that I got to see that too, because it's ugly, and it gives me some perspective when I am sitting with a young man who may be at a precipice of some decisions that can change his life, right? I could tell him exactly what he can look forward to in there, I used to tell people in there, they be complaining about their rights. I was like, bro, shut up. There's no rights in here. Write this out, bro. Knock it off, bro. You in jail. And it's crazy. I sat in there with people who, most of their lives, they've been in jail, right? And, all right, so on the West Coast, in jail, it's called politics. It's racial, right?
Yes, I've heard about that.
This is how it is. So you have a spokesperson for each card, each race. And the blacks.
So you were in jail in California?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Arizona. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they tried to make me the spokesperson in Arizona. I was like, I'm good. This is y'all thing, right?
To like represent the black.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, okay. Cool, right? So, but still, like the head of the Mexicans would come to me, like they still came to me because, look, I was a very formidable guy, and my energy was like, yo, don't get it twisted. But I wasn't bothering nobody, and I talked people off of ledges, right? I talked sense into people's heads, so they respected me a great deal. So the way that I looked, all of this, everybody just came to me like, bro, I'm in my bunk reading one day, and this older white dude, this dude was like 50, he's just at my door, and he just want to talk, right? He didn't really have no, it was like he just seen like a little bit of freedom in me and wanted to talk to me. And it's interesting, man, because he was trying to like convince me that he's a good person, but I could see him for who he is, right? And I'm like, I hear you, but you know, when you get out, you coming right back in here. Like I didn't say that to him, but I can see it, right? And also, I know this just from growing up, like just people I know in and out. When people go in, a lot of times they become holier than thou, but when they out, they right back on the same nonsense.
How long were you in prison for?
I was never in prison.
Oh, jail.
Yeah, I was in jail. I think total maybe 4 or 5 months, something like that. It was not long at all. And it's interesting because whenever you go to jail, the first day is the worst, right, of the intake. And then, you know, in the processing, and then like when you're actually in your crib, we say like you're in your house, it's kind of like uncomfortable, new people, it be cold. I remember shivering, and I'm like, damn, they trying to do everything to make you uncomfortable, but then you adjust in a day, and then it's weird, but everything becomes normal. You can smile, like, cause I'm like, I used to be like, how can y'all smile? What are y'all happy for? Yeah. Taking somebody to jail. Leave people alone, man. Leave them alone. As an ambulance, like we ain't going to jail. But now it just goes to the resilience of the human animal, right? Whatever situation you're in, you adapt to it. So my experience in it was interesting. I was like a counselor in there, you know, and it made me think about, I know what they need in here. If they cared about rehabilitation, which they don't, they would have a person in who's a counselor, educated, but with some grit to them, that look like an inmate, that can live amongst them for a few weeks or months at a time to really do, because I was like that.
Yes.
I'm giving guys good information. It's crazy because it was like the really silliest, simplest, like, bro, like this guy wants to fight this guy because he called him the B word over a game of chess because he was cheating. Okay. Now, if they fight, you know, we all have a code in there. Ain't nobody gonna snitch. Yeah. So that means we all go to lockdown. So I said, bro, you're willing to put everybody in here on lockdown because he hurt your feelings by calling you a name. Don't nobody call me, but you cheated on chess. He was like, dang, I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah. You feel me? So it's like, we laugh about it, but this is the level of intellect that some people are in.
Impulse control.
The impulse, the lack of control, right? So, you know, people need, it's sad. It's really sad. I was sad for them, not myself, because I figured I'd be all right. Yeah. I at least had a fighting chance. A lot of these people don't have a fighting chance. If there was a guy that was in jail, you're usually in there. If you're fighting a case, and it's a big case, you could be in there a couple years, right? But typically, you're not in jail more than 12 months. This guy was in jail for like 14, 15 months because he worked at a 7-Eleven. He was a Somalian guy, didn't really speak good English. His name was complicated to say. He was in there, he wasn't supposed to be in there, for one. Every time they would call him to get him out of there, get him to court, get him out of there, they said his name so crazy, he don't realize they're saying his name. Okay. And nobody cared. Okay. He just stays there.
Oh, wow.
You know, that's an extreme, right? But there's people who have just no resources, right? When you have resources, you got a fighting chance. When you don't, it's good luck.
Gotcha. Yeah. So what was the process to getting out?
Bonding.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to be extradited to the state that the alleged crime occurred, which was Arizona. Okay. And once I was there, I didn't bond out immediately because the bond was so high. The first attorneys we were talking with was saying we can get a reduction So I sat like an extra month thinking that this guy can get her. Come to find out he couldn't, and he seemed scared. Like when I seen him, I didn't like his energy. So I was like, all right, I bonded out, just got somebody else. So it's not a complicated process. You know, constitutionally, you have to be given a bond. But if it's like something against a child or premeditated first degree murder, aggravated rape, stuff like that, is no bond, and it shouldn't be.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so once you've bonded out, I'm not so familiar
Oh,
with that.
the adjudication process.
Yeah, I'm
I'll
not
explain.
so familiar with how it works. over
Okay,
here.
so when I bonded out, so I had an ankle bracelet before, but I cut it.
Okay.
So they gave me another. So they learned their lesson, right? So this time they give me a metal bracelet,
Okay.
GPS bracelet.
Okay.
This is this big. It digs into my leg when I walk, and it's metal. There's no cutting that. I have to plug my leg into the wall 3-4 hours a day to charge it, right?
Oh boy.
There's a speaker in there. If you drive past an airport or Greyhound, they're calling you. They're like, "What are you doing?" They're yelling, they're cussing at you. It's really, you gotta just, wow, bro, I'm just driving past. You know, you have to deal with it. So this is what I did. So I would wear like big pants and kind of tuck it. Still shot my YouTube videos. I can show you videos right now where I had a bracelet. No one knew.
Yeah.
See, Zuby, I never complained about it. I proceeded with my life as if nothing was happening, right? Because the moment you start complaining about your issues, you're affirming that it's real, right? You're making it real. Nah, I'm good. We off of that. We're gonna beat this. So the adjudication process, I had 2 cases. So at this point, remember I was telling you about the degrees of lawyers that you could have. My money was way better now, and it was all legal.
Was this off of YouTube, or what was the source
YouTube
of
and
this?
all the other things that I had going on. Yeah. So this attorney was a 6-figure attorney, like boom, but they're like the top tier. And his confidence, like my first day sitting with him, I'm like, "So, sir," like we're talking today. He's a good friend of mine now. I said, "So, what do you think the strategy?" He's like, "We're just gonna get this thrown out. We're gonna beat it." Like, what are you talking about? Like, he's like, "Who's this guy?"
Yeah.
So he was so confident. Listen, had we went to trial and I lost, at least I would not have been stressed during the way because he was so confident. It was like having a strong big brother to go and fight for you, you know? So anyway, but he was very competent. They were afraid of him. He made them work. All of he's connected, all of the things that you want in a criminal defense attorney. But he's a good guy, right? Like I said, we're friends. This is years later. We're good friends. So that process took about a year. So a few months in, he dealt with 1 case at a time. He got the first one thrown out. The one pulling a gun on the security guy, because it was like a cop can't open your door and pull you out your car.
Yeah.
Neither can a security guard. So, so then we started working on the next one, and that's the big one. So he's picking away at it. Every month, it's like a little bit better. So then he gets to where, all right, I got them to reclassify it from manslaughter back to ag assault. I was like, okay. But that's still a mandatory prison sentence, right? So the charge was aggravated assault with a deadly weapon with a danger tag, right? Or dangerous tag. I said, why is this mandatory prison? He says, because it has a dangerous tag associated. I says,
Does that mean labeling you as a dangerous individual?
whatever. It's just,
Okay.
it's just certain codes that they have.
Okay, I see.
So he's letting me know because we can go for a plea, but you are going to get prison time. So, but I was very excited for it to come down from the MS to that, right? So I said, how can it not be, you can't make it a lower charge because that's what I was initially charged with. How can this not be prison time? He says, they'd have to remove the, no. I said, why is it mandatory prison? He said, because of the dangerous tag. I said, can you ask him to remove it? I'll take a plea.
Yeah.
He says, they don't do that. I said, please, please, just ask. If he say no, he say no. So he asked him and they took it off.
Okay.
I was like, what? That simple. So they offered a plea of no prison, right? Just some X amount of years of probation. I said, I'll take it. He says, no, I want to get this all the way thrown out. I don't want you to have no felonies. I said, Mr. Russo, I love you and I appreciate you, but I just want to get this behind me.
Yeah.
Because it's still stressful going to court every month. I don't need a job. I don't care if I have a felony, right? So I accepted the plea. Now, here's the thing. The judge determines whether you have to admit guilt, right? That's the thing with a plea bargain. And for the record, everybody out there, when people are taking pleas, they most likely may not be guilty, but it's just like they don't see a way out of this case without saying I'm guilty, right? So once you say you're guilty, the judge can give you whatever sentence they want. They don't have to honor that plea. Okay, so that's a fact. For y'all out there that don't know, that's a fact. Just because you're being offered a plea,
a lot.
they don't have to give it to you.
Gotcha.
There's aggravating circumstances, and I had one, the fact that I was a felon, a fugitive. So this is what happened. This is how it looks in a court on sentencing. You have the defense and his family. You have the state and a bunch of cops, and people in suits. It was me, my family, and cops. These are the friends that I've made over the years that came to speak on my character. I'm not just regular cops, it was like SWAT operators, federal cops, like big time guys. They stood up, just, and spoke highly of me.
And these are people who knew you through what?
That I had actual relationships with.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the judge said this, Mr. King, if this was being adjudicated closer to the time that this happened, you'd be on your way to prison right now. But the court sees that you're not a criminal. Get out of my courtroom. What? Excuse me? Bro, I get in the elevator. I'm like, man, this don't even feel right. Zuby, I had a dark cloud over my head for 7 years. So I had a cap to my happiness. I couldn't smile that hard. I couldn't have joy. Because I know, you could laugh right now, but you might be going to prison, right? That was always a possibility. It was gone. For a hot second, it made me uncomfortable not having that cloud. Yeah. I was so used to having that, right? And I was just happy, bro. Just happy, man. And I take that as a testament to, all right, I'm one of those people that I don't like sorry. I don't like when people say I'm sorry. I'm like, yeah, whatever, because it's just a word. I like atonement, right? That means you're correcting your wrongs and you're actively showing that you really are remorseful about what happened. And what happened was that 7-year period was a grace period, not for anybody else, but for me to prove to myself that I'm not a person that deserves to be in prison. And that's what I did, man. I stuck to the straight and narrow, right? I became an honorable person. I stopped lying to people. Anything that's not of high character or morals, I stay away from, right? And, it's hard to say exactly what I did, but my life reflected, this is a good guy. And they had mercy on me. I'm not gonna say they had mercy. They had no other choice but to acknowledge the truth and what was right. Put it like that, because, I'm an unapologetic type of person and I'm honest, and I was just living just pure peaking my expression of who I am and what was right to me. And just so happened that what was right to me is right to all. Here's the thing. Now, I call myself an outlaw, right? I'm gonna tell you why. That whole situation, an outlaw is a person that exists outside of the norm. Like, I know y'all got rules, but I have my own rules. I have my own moral compass. I trust my rules better than yours, right? Now, most of the time, we're in alignment. Every now and then, we are not. And if I continue to live my life on my rules, I'm saying right now, I'm okay with whatever the consequence is. I'm a man, I'll deal with it, right? So that was a perfect example of my way was better than their way. Because if it was their way, I would have went to prison way back when that happened, So what happens? Why was one of the reasons why they let me off? Because now they have additional laws on the book called the Castle Doctrine, which allows people to protect their home, their vehicle, and their bodies with lethal force. If
So
they,
did that apply retroactively?
I don't know if they did officially,
Okay.
but that came into consideration.
Interesting. So when the incident happened, that
They did not
sort
have
of-
that.
Okay,
Right.
interesting.
They had the force for force,
Gotcha.
which is here too in California. It's even worse in California.
Okay.
Like if someone breaks in your house and you shoot them, they could sue you. You get in trouble. You don't just get in trouble, but you get sued.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say this right now. If somebody breaks in my house and it's illegal for me to do anything to them, I'm gonna overdo it to them. I'm gonna overdo it to them. You in my sanctuary, my home, with my beautiful daughter, Ivy, is here. Elijah is here. Kai is here. Are you kidding me? Everybody's dying. Everybody's dying.